since 1996. We study the Palestinian world by looking at all of the open sources coming from the official sources and official events, sports events, school books, culture, crossword puzzles, everything, to get a sense of where the leadership is bringing the people. Now, I want to open with this because we're talking about children and we're talking about children terror. I want to open with something that is very current. This is just a few days ago, February 28th. An Israeli court convicted a child terrorist. And I want to read to you from the decision because it's very significant. And I want to understand where this came from. The defendant entered Israel in an informed, planned, and conscious decision with the intent to be a martyr. The defendant, a resident of the West Bank, son of a normative family, had no unusual problems. He studied in 10th grade until his arrest. Due to his failure on an exam and complicated relations with his teacher, he began to think about ending his life. He sought a way to die and avoided suicide that would have brought shame on his family and preferred to be a martyr reaching paradise. The defendant, who was 15 at the time of the crime, decided to stab a Jewish person, among other things due to psychological crisis, desired to put an end to his life at the hands of Israeli forces in order to be a martyr, reach paradise, and desired to bring honor to his family. So what's significant here, a number of things. First of all, this is normative child. There was nothing, he felt distressed about and wanted to take his life, but chose to try to kill or attack an Israeli and be killed in the act that would bring honor to his family and get him paradise. Where is this coming from? How is a child who is normative having these messages? And I want to show you basically the way I would say martyrdom really envelops the Palestinian child from the youngest age until he gets older, and by giving you examples of this world. Now, there's in nonstop role modeling for Palestinian children of martyrs. I'll start with just one of the most famous martyrs for Palestinians is Dalal Mughrabi. She hijacked this bus. She murdered, together with others, these 12 children and 25 adults. It was the worst terror attack in Israel's history. So Dalal Mughrabi is also probably the most frequently role modeled person in the PA. Starting here with sports, this was a sporting event in 2019. There haven't been really sporting events in 2020, so this was from 2019. At Dalal Mughrabi Sports Festival, all the girls wore a picture of this terrorist on their sweatshirts during the entire period of the festival. 2 years earlier, there was a basketball cup, and I'm just doing this to show you it's consistent over years. And then before then, there was another sporting event, a ping pong tournament named after Dalal Mughrabi. We have had dozens, probably hundreds of events and places and streets and other things named after Dalal Mughrabi. There are 6 Palestinian Authority schools named after Dalal Mughrabi. And just to give you a sense of what it means, again, I'm going to shorten by reading some of the quotes instead of playing them. They interviewed children in a Dalal Mughrabi school on official PA TV. And this is how the children respond to having a school named after Mughrabi. This is one of the students. Dalal Mughrabi is a great leader. The fighter may have died and her soul ascended heaven, but our mothers give birth to thousands. I'm personally proud to attend the Dalal Mughrabi school. Another student, my life's ambition is to reach the level of the martyr fighter Dalal Mughrabi. So we see it with here. The Palestinian school books themselves, I'm sure you know, mention her a number of times. We're proud. They talk about a chapter on heroes. We're proud of the heroes, sing their praise, learn their names. Everyone wishes to be like them. And then it says, who has forgotten Dalal Mughrabi? Bravo to the heroes, scorn to the cowards. If you don't want to be like Dalal Mughrabi and the other fighters, then you're a coward. And this is coming to 5th grade children, 11-year-olds in the Palestinian Authority system. It's not only past terrorists, it's more recent terrorists as well. And this is the entrance to a school in Bethlehem. And what you have here is an honor, a plaque honoring the terrorists, so the martyrs of the Al-Aqsa Intifada, and it specifies the name of 2 terrorists, one of them, the martyr Ayat al-Akhras, 17-year-old girl suicide bomber from Bethlehem, who murdered, by the way, a 17-year-old Israeli girl and others. So that this is what the girls see as they enter the school every single day is the name of this suicide bomber. That same suicide bomber is at another school in Bethlehem with her picture above the entrance. The youngest role modeling we've seen through sports was, this was incredible, 6 weeks after two 13-year-old terrorists. One named Ahmad al-Nasra and his cousin named Hassan, 15-year-olds. They attacked Israelis in the streets. They seriously wounded two Israelis by stabbing them. The older one, the 15-year-old, was shot and killed, and the 13-year-old was injured and arrested. Because he was injured and arrested, he became very famous in the Palestinian world. And then 6 weeks later, they already had a football tournament for young children named for Ahmad al-Nasra. And of course, the message to all Palestinian children who are participating, and these were the pictures, and you see their ages, the same ages, is that to be, if you want to become a hero, and if you want to have a tournament named after you, of course, you have to do something like Ahmad al-Nasra. That's the message coming through. Now, they also turn terrorists in real time. And I'm going to show you a very tragic example. This is a picture of the family of Rabbi Achiad Ettinger. He's over here. He's his wife and his 12 children. In 2019, March 17th, he was murdered by Omar Abu Layla. A drive-by shooting when he was in his car. 3 days later, Abu Layla was killed, and already on that same day, they already put a post up by Fatah, the heroic martyr Omar Abu Layla, and he was honored in so many different ways by Palestinian society. By the way, he was 19-year-old. He was honored. He was called the perfect person. We give him a military salute. There were streets named after him. A mosque was named after him. Many things were named after him. But look at this. A few months later, Fatah was having a winter camp for their children, for their teenagers, and look what it is called. Let me just go back a slide here. It is called the Martyr Omar Abu Layla Camp. And I just want to tell you what it says here on the poster, which I'll show you enlarged in a minute. This is the graduation ceremony of the Omar Abu Layla Martyrs Camp. And then in parentheses, it says the Yazin Abu Tabia's Martyr Cycle. And then later on, it says the branch of the Martyr Abu Jihad organizational area and the Martyrs organizational area Al-Zavia neighborhood. It's incredible here in this one little poster. You've got 4 different groupings of martyr. Everywhere the kids are, it's all about martyrs. And of course, and here's that poster I was telling you. It has a picture of the 19-year-old terrorist, Omar Abu Layla. Here's one of the children speaking. Look at the ages of their kids. They're all dressed up in military garb. And saluting as if military, very, very military, very, very honoring martyrs. Promoting martyrdom, and they even had a mock funeral a symbolic funeral for the martyr. So here we have again young people. We see this whole martyrdom culture being imposed on these children, where martyrdom is being presented as the ideal. Another quick example: this 13-year-old girl was murdered by a 17-year-old Palestinian boy the day he was killed, which was the same day of the murder. His picture already appeared on Fatah's Facebook page, and his mother was interviewed. And what did she say in the interview? My son is a hero. He made me proud. So a 17-year-old boy kills a 13-year-old boy, and the mother says he made me proud. Think back to the words that I started with on that the Palestinian child who was convicted. He wanted to bring honor to his family by being a martyr. That's exactly what happened in this situation here. He went and he killed a 13-year-old. He was killed, and his mother says he made me proud. That's the atmosphere that children are facing in the Palestinian society. There are broadcasts on Palestinian television regularly, and I picked 2 specifically from 2019. 2019 was the year that boy went out and wanted to be a martyr, wanted to kill an Israeli or attack an Israeli and be killed. Listen to 2 items on a program for young children on Palestinian TV. Look at the Bravo is also part of it. Here's another example, also from November 2000. Okay, it goes on and on. The blood of the martyrs is in my veins. So you're seeing this again, and there are many, I would say almost incessant. We've seen this over all the years and continuing until today, this message of martyrdom. Here's one of the worst examples we saw. A child is being told in this poem that Fatah put on their Facebook page that children are essentially our ammunition. And here I'm going to shorten this a little. This was done originally on a radio station. Fatah became aware of it. They then took a video and put it on their own Facebook page, telling children, you are ammunition, you're not meant for happiness, you're meant for martyrdom. This is a typical example, one of the worst ones, to tell a child that you are only ammunition, you have no value in and of yourself. But again, this is typical of the martyrdom culture that the PA creates. I want to show you what happened, and this is very important. In 2016, we just had experienced a 6-month terror wave. 54 Israelis were murdered. Palestinians called it the knife intifada. And many of the participants, many of the terrorists were teenagers. Many of them were killed. Many more were arrested. But I want to show you what happened in July of 2016, when it was the day of matriculation. WAFA, the official PA news agency, instead of mourning the deaths of the children who didn't reach matriculation for high school, they did just the opposite. This is what the PA announced. The day of the publication of high school matriculation exams is important. The families of the martyrs and their relatives find themselves proud of the martyrdom that their children achieved. 16 students succeeded, for death as a martyr is the path to excellence and greatness, and the path for those who know how to reach the great victory. This is an important thing because it's telling us the mindset of the Palestinian Authority leadership. This is what they believe. This is what they're telling their children, that these children, these 16 children who didn't have a life, who didn't have a future, who never had a career, who never had children. No, it doesn't matter, because they were martyrs. They had excellence and greatness. They know how to reach the great victory. Again, I'm going to skip a few items here. This is on Palestinian TV. Just look at the message last year. They don't only tell the children to go out, they also tell the parents to accept the martyrdom. This is on Palestinian TV. Al-Aqsa is more precious than my children, more precious than my family. It goes on. I'll give you another example of this on official PA TV. This was running from 2018 through 2020, many times on official Palestinian radio. Make sounds of joy, the mother of the martyr. Again, I'm shortening everything so you can get a sense, but this is the constant martyrdom promotion. Now, murder to music. Using music to encourage martyrdom for teenagers is very significant. Researchers have pointed out that it's much more important than sermons. There's the beat and the rhyme and the punchy delivery. I'm going to show you some examples of current videos. This is 2020, many times last year on PA TV. Okay, strap on the Molotov cocktail. I'm sorry, on the Molotov, strap on the explosive belt, blow them up in Haifa. This is last year, repeatedly on Palestinian TV. What is going on? Why are they promoting suicide bombing? Here's another example. This one ran for 4 years, is still running on Palestinian TV for 4 years. Okay, God, promise us, we beg of you, and I'm trying to show you is that it's coming everywhere. It's presented as something that you achieve. God, promise us, we beg you, let us achieve martyrdom. That's the message coming from the PA. I want to show you examples. It's continuing in 2021. These are a few songs that have been appearing now. Okay, don't know why this one isn't playing. Oh, my computer. I don't know why that happened, but it is resetting right now. It froze, as you talked about earlier, technical problems. Let me just get back to where we were. Okay, I won't play this one. I don't know why it wasn't working, but the text in here, and this was on February 13th, just a couple of weeks ago. Our boys and girls from the heart of longing and the familiar, they fluttered toward the rifle and the blood. The revolution is the father. The revolution is the brother. It is the mother. This is on TV just 2 weeks ago, PATV. This was on in January twice. The Palestinian people, a revolution against Zionism. Take my blood and give me victories. Again, this is, again, music, like the music that you heard just before. It's continuing today, even with this. This is February 14th. The Palestinian Authority, going back to role modeling, they started planting trees in schools, and the trees are being named and have the pictures of Palestinian prisoners. So, for example, you have here 2 terrorists who... Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't share the screen again. Okay. Here we go. 2 pictures of terrorists who kidnapped and murdered an Israeli soldier, and these are just 2 of the examples. And the member of the Palestinian Authority Ministry of Education, she said the prisoners are the symbol of freedom and won't rest or be silent until the prisons are emptied of our heroic prisoners. Again, this is continuing, like I say, right till today. Also, this year they had an event where they, on PATV, where they honored the planner of the Munich Olympic massacre as having done quality operations. All of this is the glorification. Now, here's an example, I think that sums this up. This isn't a child, but I think this sums up the Palestinian Authority ideology, which is being passed down actively to children, even 5, 6, 7-year-olds on those young children's programs. And this was on TV just 2 months ago. A member of the Fatah Revolutionary Council, Palestine is the center of the universe. Those representing it must be prepared to make a sacrifice, to sacrifice blood for the sake of this cause. That is the message to Palestinian children as strongly as it comes to adults. And that's why so many children have been involved in terror. I'm going to skip this section here about generating hatred, again, just because of time. I've talked to you here about the promotion of terror. There's also tremendous promotion of hatred, which makes the child want to understand why he should kill an Israeli. Here's one of the examples. Israelis are trying to kill Palestinian children all the time. Here's another example, is that Israel stole our land from us, talking about Lod, not talking about the West Bank, talking about Israel here. This was on TV just a few months ago. And of course, we will return, we'll liberate Palestine. They're trying to Judaize it. All of this constant messaging on PATV. So this is the world of the Palestinian child. Jaffa, all of Israel is occupied. Israelis are trying to kill you. Fight and kill them, and you're merely ammunition. Which gets us back to understanding what I started with, that 15-year-old child terrorist who wanted to be a martyr and bring honor to his family. You can see now why he felt going out and being shot and being killed would bring honor to his family, because that is what he has been getting as a child from official PATV, from their camps, from everything in his Palestinian world. And I'm talking here about all official PA. I'm not talking about Hamas, who's certainly doing the same thing. Now, I want to end with one final thing. Norway condemns this role modeling, and I'll give you an example. PMW, we were reported in middle of 2017 on a young community center for girls that was named the Dalal Mughrabi Center, and we saw here the Norwegian logo. We notified the Norwegian government, and we notified also MIFF, and I think Conrad was involved in this. He notified the Norwegian government right away, and within 24 hours. The Norwegian foreign minister made this statement: I deplore this decision in the strongest possible terms. We will not accept the use of Norwegian aid funding for such purposes. We've asked that the logo of the Norwegian representative office be removed from the building immediately, and for the funding that's been allocated to be repaid to the center. Now, let me just go back to this. Norway took such an important stand on one building. On one building, you are so involved in funding the Palestinian Authority. It's not one building. If you're funding the sporting division, you're involved in promoting terror. If you're funding the school system, you've got 6 schools named after Mughrabi, and endless events, which I didn't describe here, from the school system glorifying terror and martyrdom. If you're involved in culture, it's the same thing. Whatever you're supporting, that the Palestinian child is literally a victim of a leadership that is brainwashing him to believe that if he wants to be proud for his family, to make his family proud, as they said after those 16 12-year-olds had been killed in terror attacks, as they said about them, you have reached greatness and victory because of that is what is involved in the PA. Now, there are many Palestinians who are working now. They are horrified by this. They hate this. They are desperate to see the world that's funding the Palestinian Authority do something about this. It's not an issue of Israel against the Palestinian Authority right now. It's the Palestinian Authority against its own children, literally against its own children. And there are many, many Palestinians. I would be happy to come back here and appear and meet with you together with one of my Palestinian friends who's met with me, with members of parliaments. He's from the Haisha refugee camp in Bethlehem, and he can tell you, and he will tell you, that everything that I've described is exactly what he felt when he was growing up. And this is something that only donor countries can change. Israel can't change this. You are the ones who are funding the Palestinian Authority in so many different ways. You are the ones who can make this stop for the benefit of Israelis who are the victims, but also for the benefit of Palestinian children who are victims of this incessant hate indoctrination and martyrdom indoctrination. Thank you for your time.